In the cold, wind-swept plains of Central Asia, around the year 1162, a child was born who would one day shake the very foundations of the earth. His name was Temujin. He was not born into wealth nor into peace, but into a world of endless war, betrayal, and survival. No one then could have imagined that this frail boy would one day become Genghis Khan, the most feared and powerful conqueror in human history. Temujin's early life was brutal. His father, Yesuge, was poisoned by enemies when Temujin was just 9 years old. His tribe abandoned his mother and siblings to die in the wilderness. Hunger became their closest companion, and death their constant shadow. But within that boy burned an unyielding fire, a vision, perhaps madness, that one day all the warring tribes of the steppe would unite under one banner, his banner. As he grew, Temujin learned that loyalty could not be demanded, only earned. He forged alliances not through blood, but through merit. He learned the art of patience, the craft of strategy, and the cold steel of vengeance. One by one, he gathered followers, warriors who saw in him not just a man, but destiny itself. Among them were the legendary brothers Jamuka, who would become both his blood brother and greatest rival, and Boorku, his lifelong companion. But peace was never part of the steppe. Temujin's friendship with Jamuka turned to hatred. Their tribes clashed in a war that would define his path. Temujin was defeated, humiliated, his warriors scattered. Yet out of ruin, he rose stronger. He learned from every loss. Where others saw the steppe as chaos, he saw order waiting to be imposed. In time, Temujin's reputation grew. He offered freedom to slaves, promotion to commoners, and death to traitors. His justice was ruthless but fair. His code, the Yasa, bound his people with iron discipline. And in the year 1206, at the great gathering known as the Kurultai, all the Mongol tribes proclaimed him their ruler. From that day forward, he was no longer Temujin. He was Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. And so began one of the most extraordinary military campaigns in human history. The Mongol Empire was born not from cities or gold, but from horses, bows, and the indomitable will of its leader. Genghis Khan's armies were unlike any the world had seen. They moved faster than wind, struck harder than thunder, and vanished before their enemies could breathe. Every warrior carried multiple horses, could ride for days without rest, and survive on blood, milk, and faith in their Khan. His first great target was the Xisha kingdom in northwestern China. They mocked his envoys, refused tribute, a fatal mistake. The Mongols descended like a storm. City after city fell. Walls that had stood for centuries crumbled before their siege engines and relentless assault. But Genghis was not driven merely by conquest. He was driven by purpose. His next target was the mighty Jin dynasty of northern China. Their armies numbered in the millions, his in the hundreds of thousands. But numbers meant nothing to him. Through superior strategy, deception, and mobility, he crushed them. By 1215, the Mongols had seized Zhongdu, modern-day Beijing, and burned it to ash. Then came the greatest test of his life, the Empire of Khwarezm. Stretching from Persia to the Caspian Sea, it was a wealthy Muslim civilization ruled by Shah Ala ad-Din Muhammad. Genghis sent peaceful trade envoys to establish relations. But the Shah, in arrogance and fear, captured and executed them. That single act lit the fuse of a cataclysm. Genghis Khan swore vengeance, not negotiation, not mercy, but annihilation. In 1219, the Mongol hordes swept west. Their discipline and terror defied comprehension. Entire cities vanished beneath their hooves. Bukhara, Samarkand, Urgench, names once radiant with culture and beauty, were reduced to ashes and bones. The Mongols did not merely conquer, they erased. Yet in their destruction lay an order. Trade routes reopened, banditry vanished, and a new era of east-west connection began. Genghis Khan's genius lay not only in war, but in governance. He built a postal system spanning thousands of miles. He welcomed scholars, artisans, and traders from all lands. He outlawed torture, encouraged religious freedom, and elevated merit above birth. His empire was brutal, yet strangely modern. Still, his wrath was boundless. When cities defied him, they paid in blood. When they surrendered, they flourished. His justice was as precise as his bow. By the 1220s, Genghis Khan ruled an empire larger than Rome, Alexander, or any before him. His banners stretched from the Pacific to the Caspian. But even as his empire grew, his body began to fail. Time and war had left their scars. In 1227, while campaigning against the rebellious Tanguts of Shisha, Genghis Khan was injured, some say thrown from his horse, others whisper of assassination. He died soon after, surrounded by his generals, his body hidden in secret so no enemy could ever desecrate it. Before his death, he divided his empire among his sons, Yochi, Chagatai, Ogadai, and Tolui, ensuring that the Mongol legacy would endure. His funeral was said to be accompanied by the slaughter of all who witnessed it, to keep its location forever unknown. Even today, no one knows where Genghis Khan lies buried. But death could not silence his legend. His empire continued to expand under his descendants, stretching from the shores of Japan to the gates of Vienna. The Mongols changed the world, through terror, yes, but also through trade, technology, and cultural exchange. The Silk Road thrived under their watch. Ideas, goods, and diseases alike flowed across continents. The modern world, in many ways, was born from the shadow of Genghis Khan's horse. And yet, who was he, truly? A monster or a visionary? To some, he was the destroyer of civilizations. To others, the founder of order from chaos. His hands were soaked in blood, yet his mind dreamed of unity. He built an empire that connected East and West centuries before globalization had a name. He rose from nothing, from hunger, abandonment, and betrayal, to rule 1/5 of the world's landmass. His armies killed tens of millions, but his laws built stability for generations. History cannot decide what he was, but one thing is certain. No man before or since has reshaped the world as completely as Genghis Khan. Even now, 800 years later, his spirit rides the wind of the steppes, the whisper of hooves echoing across mountains and deserts. His blood flows in the veins of millions. His vision, for better or worse, lives on. He was not just a conqueror. He was destiny made flesh, the storm that came from the east. He was Genghis Khan. The world would never be the same again.